On this episode of Bombs Away, we tell you how we learned that Blue Island is neither blue nor an island, how a Decatur tables match taught us that the stubborn people hold the power, and how the only thing standing between us and being out of records are Thor and Hambone.
It's the 5th episode of Bombs Away.
Releasing music on vinyl is all about navigating crazy problems, like learning how to splice tape, understanding how high and low frequencies impact vinyl grooves different than they do tape or digital, about how the turnaround time on records has ballooned from 3 months all the way up to 9, and even that time that a cat jumped up on the record lathe and messed up our reference lacquer. So a lot of crazy things have happened, but one problem that we never saw coming was keeping our records in stock. And so we were just doing inventory and we found out that we're not almost out of 1, but we're almost out of 2 of our discs.
First, we're actually down to the last 48 copies of 5 Star Night. Actually, technically, it's more like 25 copies. And then we have 23 copies that are this espionage edition, which was a hand-stamped, hand-numbered label. And only 100 of these ones exist. And the reason for that is because we actually scheduled like a record release back in 2015 and some tour dates, and the record pressing plant kept pushing our date further and further back. So eventually we were kind of like, hey, we need some of these. And they sent us 100 with these blank labels. So this is what we decided to do with them. And what does that mean for you? Well, it means that we're gonna make these available. If you buy it online, just let us know which label you'd prefer. The original one, like the Cave Tone label, or this espionage edition, which again, hand-stamped, hand-numbered. Or you could be super cool and you could be a completist and get both of them. That's cool.
And it's the first time that one's available since summer of 2015, and we thought they were gone, but now they're here.
Yeah.
But we have a second disc we're almost out of as well, which is our Halloween split, where we came together with 3 other bands to write and record original Halloween songs. We love this split. We still play Queen of Halloween at all of our shows. So if you like that one, this is where it's at. So we sold out of our copies in 2022, which led to us buying all of Bowling Alone copies off them, which we're almost sold out of now. So we have 3 in our merch container and 1 right here, right now. We reached out to Shaded Sound and they're sold out, which left us with only 1 option left, our dear friends in the Apathy Wizards. So I reached out to Thor, who directed me to Hambone, who said that they might be able to locate 50 of these records around their house somewhere. So provided Hambone can locate these 50 records, we'll end up with 54 of them. But if not, we still have just 4. You see what I said about the crazy solutions that you come up with in the record world, and the only thing standing between us and being out of them are people like, well, Thor and Hambone? Well, this is what's going on. Well, either way, I know this. We're down to about 50 copies of this 7-inch and this LP, and once we're sold out forever. We're not going to be repressing this, so don't miss out on this. The radio gods are funny in how they show their love. For example, back in 2023, there was this 3-week period where we had all this international airplay, and then radio silence. Same thing in the beginning of 2024. But over the course of a 30-day-ish period, we ended up making all these really cool radio appearances. And since it's 2024, you can still hear them because you can look online for them. And it started with a show called The Ledge, which is one of our favorites. It was episode 606. We were on there to talk about our song Get the Experience, and how it became the theme to the #1 pro wrestling podcast in the world, the Jim Cornette Experience. So we did this really cool little interview and told the story, and then he played the tune.
Yeah, and then on March 4th, we returned to WEFT 90.1, and that is in Champaign-Urbana. We were live on the air, and we played selections from our upcoming album called Ivy, which we have not recorded yet, sadly. We'll get to it. We had a lot of fun with host Todd Hunter. He's a really funny guy. You guys had some pretty funny repartee.
I had to have my segue game on point, right? Like, he would take us down a crazy path if you let him, but I was like, but we are here to make music as well. So.
If you missed it, that's okay. It's going to be on UPTV 6 in Champaign-Urbana, and online, of course. Everything's online. We also gave them a CD of New Love Is Easy.
It was on the air, so there was a recording of it happening.
And they were kind and generous enough enough to give that a spin, I believe, this past week.
Yeah, we just found out with Spinatron that they played 2 songs off it.
Which is super awesome. So if you would like to hear selections off of this, you can call or email their request line and let them know that you want to hear the super awesome band, the X-Bombers. And if you do, we will feel, honestly, our hearts will be very full.
Well.
And it will inspire us to try harder at this whole radio thing.
Yeah, and you could be as casual as you want, right? Like, send messages to the Facebook page, post things on there, just put play X Bombers or whatever it's going to be.
Blast them.
Right, because if we see this on Spinatron again, that this has happened, we know that one of you did this, which is like the coolest thing in the world, right? So that's awesome. But we had one more stop on the radio express train. So we did a show called Vinyl Fridays, and it was episode number 23 on Blue Island Radio, and we did this the night before our Cape Tone 16-year anniversary. And we did it, it's an all vinyl radio show. Oh, you've got the magnet.
I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, they can see. How's that helping?
I don't know.
So we played all these great songs by these cult artists that people should really know, and they're from our personal record collection as well. So bands like String Driven Thing, Shocking Blue, The Pair Extraordinaire. We played all these songs off our turntables, and in response, DJ Brandon played some really cool songs as well. They were all duos in theme. And then before and afterwards, we had probably one of our favorite interviews about music with DJ Brandon and AP Lindsay. It was just an awesome conversation about music. It was 4 people who loved music, and also they plied us with coffee and sparkling water, which is the liquid path to our hearts. So go give these shows a listen. Hopefully they'll spin us again, which is always, again, one of our favorite things in this world.
Very appreciated, truly. So appreciated.
And if you know anybody with a podcast or a radio show, tell them about us relentlessly, because the world and the airwaves need a lot more of this. You know, Kitty, people tell us that their life is full of questions.
Luckily for them, we're full of answers.
It's time for Dear Bombers.
Sam from St. Charles, Illinois writes, Dear Bombers, if you had to vote, I mean absolutely gun to your head, I hate to get political like this, but do you guys have a favorite dinosaur?
100% of our information about dinosaurs comes from the PC game Dino Park Tycoon. Therefore, we are a diplodocus. We eat plants, we're low maintenance, and people are generally excited to see us.
Steve from Chicago, Illinois writes, Dear Bombers, Captain Crunch or Frosted Flakes?
It depends on the purpose. If it's to extract information from somebody by ruthlessly scraping the roof of their mouth and then coating their tongue with a taste that can't be removed by any chemical known to man, then Captain Crunch.
Scott from South Dakota writes, Dear Bombers, your thoughts on Wrestlemania? I quite enjoyed most of it, but felt that the second night was an improvement over the first.
Wrestling is at its best when it's 2 compelling people or 4 compelling people in a match against each other where I'm cheering and booing the whole time. It's a non-stop story where you're like, who's gonna win? How are they gonna win? What's going to happen? I'm transported, I cheer, I boo. I'm not waiting to chant or waiting for something to happen in the match that I know is there, and it definitely doesn't look like 2 people are cooperating with each other or waiting on a production cue. Take for example Macho Man Randy Savage. He is one of our favorite wrestlers because by the time that bell rang, he'd go after his opponent like a wild man on the entire time, and if the opponent got the upper hand, he'd be selling, he'd be like, oh no, Mach, come back, and you believe that if you cheered loud enough, Macho Man Randy Savage would make a comeback and he might just win, which is exciting, and it's the most fun way to see a wrestling match, actually. We watched WrestleMania 40, and that was not the case. We never once felt like it was a fight or there was some urgency to it. In fact, it felt like the entire time that we were watching raw footage that was going to be edited together later, you know? I mean, there was a lot of waiting, sitting, series of moves. It just it didn't feel like anything I could get transported into. The right people won. Cody Rhodes is the best babyface of the last decade, and I will probably watch when it's Cody versus The Rock for the title at WrestleMania 41. In music, stubborn people can make all the difference, and that was never made more clear than a couple weeks ago in Decatur, Illinois at Door 4 Brewing. See, we had first played Decatur in 2022 on a very bad, nasty November night, and we showed up, and we saw two familiar friendly faces, the artists, tastemakers, and our friends, Shaney and Tronny Goss. We hadn't seen them in quite a few years, so it was amazing to see them that night. And they were sitting at our table to our left there, one of these tables, and they had brought two friends with them, which is a super welcome sight. So they hadn't seen us in years, and we got done playing, and they were super jazzed. They're like, oh my god, this is everything I remember. And so, you know, come back please. And then we did on March 23, on another nasty kind of night like that. And at the table, instead of 4 people, there were 7 people, which is awesome. So they convinced a few more people to come with. Fast forward to October, same thing, but the entire table was filled, and it was filled with all kinds of cool people. Artists, musicians, filmmaker, the head of the radio station at Milliken, and even the owner of the local record store. They'd all come to see us, and it was great. But then, as things happen, the event coordinator of the place changed hands, and so we didn't know who to get a hold of for booking. But then the owner of the record store who came to see us all those times stepped up, and that's Speakeasy Records and Oddities, which actually has a really great selection of records. So Brian gets a hold of the owner and sets up the show that we play here in March. Now this time, the table completely filled, right? Then there's an auxiliary table completely filled with spillover. All these people we had met in the past. And then there's an annex table over to the side as well, spilling over from the main table. And then all around the bar, there's a couple of satellite tables of people who had seen us. And that was all due to the Goss's stubbornness. They got that ball rolling. They told people to come see us. They championed what it is that we do. And like, that's the kind of thing that makes us keep going in this. It inspires us. It makes us want to just do everything for people, to be our best music, to be our best selves, to make the best art. It's because of the Gosses. And you can be that person in your hometown. All you gotta do is convince a friend to go with. If there's somebody who lives in a different city, like say, hey, there's this really cool band, you need to see them. You know, you champion us and it goes a long way, and we'll come back to your town all the time at that point. And also, if you're that great and amazing like the Gosses, we will talk about you on Bombs Away so that the entire world knows about your awesomeness.
Despite the booking process sometimes being a demoralizing and exhausting thing,
It is.
we are excited to announce that we have some new confirmed dates in places that we haven't been in years, or maybe have like never been.
Confirmed dates include places like Muskegon, Michigan, all over central and western Ohio, and places like Columbus, Lancaster, Dayton, and Lima, all over southern Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, Monroe, Paoli, Evansville, and then our return to Indianapolis, Indiana, and then all over Illinois.
These dates and a whole lot more all happen this summer, but if you are looking for some Bombers action a little bit sooner,
On Saturday, April 13th, we make our return to Buzz Bomb Brewing in Springfield, Illinois, at one of the absolute best places to see us play. Things get wild on these nights, and if you haven't caught us at Buzz Bomb, you haven't gotten the full Bombers experience. It may even be outside. No cover and music 7 to 10. On Friday, April 19th, we return to Dry Ground Brewing in Paducah, Kentucky, at one of our favorite places to play. We just love everything about Dry Ground, from the massive tables, to the great people, to the excellent beer, and the ability to get a mellow mushroom pizza right at your table. It rules, and we always hate leaving at the end of the night. No cover and music 8 to 10. On Saturday, April 27th, we return to Slaughterhouse Brewing in Auburn, Illinois, at a great under-the-radar place for music, drinks, and good times in their excellent outdoor space. They even have bourbon flights. No cover and music 7 to 10. On Friday, May 3rd, we make our Galesburg, Illinois debut at Reserve Artisan Ales. This place comes super highly recommended from everyone in the area, and there's a bus inside that we are very excited to see. Bring some friends Goss style, as we'd love this to be our place in Galesburg. No cover, music 7 to 10. On Saturday, May 4th, we make our return to Bubblehouse Brewing in Lisle, Illinois. Last time was a very good time. They even had the X-Bombers and tacos on the marquee, which is the correct combination in the correct order. Our return will be a good time. No cover, music 6 to 9. On Friday, May 10th, we make our return to Hickory Creek Brewing in New Lenox, Illinois, underneath our favorite giant submarine. Hickory Creek is just a good time with good people, great beer, and an impressive pinball machine collection to go with our musical antics. Just a cool place to catch a show. No cover, music 6:30 to 9:30. And on Saturday, May 11th, we make our only trip for the year to Milwaukee, Wisconsin at the High Dive with our good friends Floor Model. This is a neat little place at about the size that Circle A Cafe was, and this should be a blast. Floor Model is an excellent band who we adore, and we love seeing our Milwaukee people. And you'll get to see us just rip out 40 excellent minutes of music. Music starts 9 p.m. And if you really want to help keep our self-esteem up so that we can continue to do this thing, bring some friends to a live show. Consider buying one of our nearly out-of-print records for you or a friend, watch our story unfold on social media at the X Bombers, take every conversation as an opportunity to show people our videos, or put any dollar amount whatsoever in our tip jar at thexbombers.com/tipjar.html. And if none of this feels like it's enough, create a second identity where you show up randomly to an office building and tell people that you're the new hire they brought in from Davenport office. Then slowly work your way up the corporate ladder over the course of several months until you're finally promoted to executive vice president. Then construct a corporate culture based around the X Bombers where all projects are named after our songs, email signatures include our lyrics, and corporate parties only have our songs on the karaoke machine. Then at the end of your third record-breaking quarter, reveal to everyone that the last 5 years of their life was a sham and the only thing real in this world is the X Bombers.